And welcome back to the last and ultimate episode of the Fab Life. Well, for this episode. I'm not wrapping up this show like permanently. Um, Now we are going to talk about Comic Con here in Las Vegas. But I'm a little bit disappointed that I was not the one who was sent over there. I didn't even know that there was Comic Con here. So the pictures that are being shown to you, and okay, the pictures aren't ready yet. It's coming soon. So tell me when the pictures will be coming. Okay, the pictures that you're seeing right now behind me, most of them are all Star Wars. And I'd like to talk about Star Wars a little bit because the hardcore fans of Star Wars are some of them are very disappointed with the outcome of the recent movie. I actually consider myself a hardcore Star Wars fan because I've seen the original Star Wars back in the 70s. And I remember that night wherein, my mom sent me with a nanny to the movie theater, and she goes, go take him to see a movie that he likes. And that was the movie that I picked. I picked Star Wars. So I went in there and I really enjoyed it. The fun, the magic, the fantasy, the horror, all these different elements of the movie. It was just super amazing. And after that, I saw the other Star Wars movies as well. Like I saw Empire Strikes Back. And by the way, when I saw Empire Strikes Back, I didn't like the ending, and nobody told me that the reason why Empire Strikes Back had a cliffhanger ending is because there was another movie coming up. So nobody told me that, and I thought to myself, oh dear, I think that was the most horrible thing that I've ever seen, because it ended very sad. And then finally, Return of the Jedi came, and that was like a bookend to Star Wars. And so everybody thought, but then years later, George Lucas invented all the special effects, CGI houses. He's the one responsible for all the advanced computer graphic imagery that you see now in Hollywood, the visual effects, everything. He's the godfather of all visual effects. George Lucas and the Industrial Light and Magic Company, his billion-dollar visual effects company that he made. Anyhow, and then years later, with all this advanced technology, George Lucas decided to do a prequel, which means the stories that preceded Star Wars Episode 4, 5, and 6. So once again, the fans were disgruntled. Some of the fans liked it, and some of the fans didn't like it. I personally loved it. I personally loved Phantom Menace, with the imperial oriental robes that Queen Amidala wore. I know it was heavy and theatrical, and in the second movie it was more toned down and more seductive, because this is when Padme falls in love with Anakin Skywalker, who later on became Darth Vader, and they both looked sexy and seductive. So it was the most seductive Star Wars movie. And then the third one, is when Padme gets pregnant with the twins, and we all know who the twins are. It's Luke and Leia. May the Force be with you. And so A lot of fans liked that movie because they said that it felt like Star Wars again. Okay, so fast forward to the present time. So now they came up with a new Star Wars movie which takes place years, after all these events happened. So I think they liked the first movie. They liked that. And by the way, George Lucas sold his company to Disney to the tune of $1 billion. So isn't it wonderful? He doesn't need to work for the rest of his life. He's just enjoying life with his girlfriend. And so now Disney took the franchise, the Star Wars franchise, and it seems like some of the fans aren't happy. How can we make these people happy? Because in the last, and I'm sure most of you have seen the last Star Wars film, The Force Awakens. They didn't like the fact that Luke Skywalker dies in this movie. Well, he doesn't actually die, but he becomes at one with the environment. I thought that it was such a beautiful, like a theatrically spiritual scene. There was a lot of Christian and Buddhist elements that was infused in that movie, and I thought that the ending was like super spectacular. I mean, what a way to go. What a way to go, becoming at one with the environment. And then all of a sudden you just see his clothes, draping softly and dropping down to the rock on which, he was seated in. He was actually floating before that, levitating in a lotus Buddhist position. But I loved it. I loved it, and some fans, well, half of the fans didn't like it, and it's quite polarized reaction. So if you didn't like the last Star Wars movie, I guess it's okay that that's your opinion, but please respect the opinions of others as well, those that love it. And so yes, the reason why I keep on talking about Star Wars is because when I saw the pictures from the Comic-Con here in Las Vegas, they were all Star Wars. I was wondering if they even, because I wasn't there, I was wondering if they showed anything from Marvel Studios, like the Avengers, Infinity Wars, and Thanos, and any props of the Infinity Gauntlet, and Captain America, and Thor, and Wakanda Forever, Black Panther, and who else was there? Did I mention Iron Man? Yeah, Iron Man and Thor. I was watching Thor last night in Ragnarok, and I really love Kate Blanchett's performance as the pointy-horned woman, the goddess of death. I love the scene where she was choking Thor and about to kill Thor, and then all of a sudden, like she says, what did you say again? I'm not a queen, I'm not a monster. I'm actually the goddess of death. That's what she said. Before she tried to destroy him, and of course that didn't happen. So, anyhow, I mean, I got so excited and elated over the fact that Comic-Con was here, but a little bit disappointed of the images, like Star Wars, and more Star Wars. Oh dear. What happened to the Avengers? Because Comic-Con normally show the Avengers. So, are we almost done? And thank you so much for watching this episode of the Fab Life. First we had the birthday shindig of my cousin Lonnie, who happens to be married with Lance Bradford, and they both own the accounting firm LL Bradford. And also, we featured their two lovely daughters, Lexi and Ashley. Lexi, who happens to be an aspiring Hollywood actress, the firecracker girl, and Lexi, the soon coming big pop star, if she's ready to take on the world. And also Patrick Mahoney. And so it's been a fabulous show. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, your best fashion accessory is your self confidence. Chowder, à tout à l'heure.